A one, two, one, two, three. Hey everybody, my name is Ginetta Vendetta and I am a pocket trumpeter, a vocalist, a composer, and the band leader of the fabulous band Ginetta Vendetta. That's right. And this workshop, which is made possible by a grant from the Alabama Council on the Arts and by the NEA, is called Learning the Pocket Trumpet. That's right, y'all. Now, you're not going to learn how to play the pocket trumpet, but you are going to learn about the pocket trumpet. And I just want to show you what a beautiful horn this is. And I'm also going to give you a brief history of horns in general. Again, welcome to this workshop. I am Ginetta Vendetta, your hostess and a professional pocket trumpet player for the past good long time, y'all. Let's just put it that way. So hold on. You want to say, what is a pocket trumpet? Well, first of all, it sounds much like a regular trumpet. Let's play a little bit. One. You hear that? So it sounds just like a regular trumpet. That's A Little Taste of Joy Spring, which is a tune by the fabulous Clifford Brown, a magnificent trumpet player. But I just wanted you to get to the point that you hear the pocket trumpet and has the same beautiful timbre and characteristic sound as a regular trumpet. So I'd like to start by actually talking about horns throughout history, you guys, because horns throughout history, it is the oldest instrument in the world. I don't know if you all know that, but the horn is the oldest instrument in the world next to the drum, which used to be on an animal skin. They used to play back thousands and thousands of years ago a ram's horn or a conch shell, depending on what part of the world. And that beautiful sound, wah, was known to carry over long distances. So the horn, as a rule, is the oldest instrument. Also, I want to tell you about the importance of the trumpet in history. Do you know that two horns, were discovered in King Tut's tomb? Now, he was a pharaoh from the 18th dynasty. When was the 18th dynasty? 3,000 years ago. It was 1500 BC. So actually, I think it was 3,500 years ago. Two trumpets discovered. Now, trumpets back in the day had no valves. These are a relatively new addition to the horn. But back in the day, it was one single beautiful tube with a bell on it. Can you imagine opening King Tut's tomb and seeing horns? And let me tell you the importance of horns throughout the ages. These trumpets were used as heraldic instruments to herald the arrival of the pharaoh, to banish evil spirits, to announce military plans, to announce religious holidays, various other myriad situations where the horn was regarded as a sacred instrument. I mean, we all know about the angel Gabriel. What does the angel Gabriel blow? Blow, baby, blow. That's right. He blows a horn, y'all. So guess what? This horn has been sounding, not this particular pocket trumpet. It is the relative baby of the horn family. But the horn itself, the trumpet, has been sounding throughout history for millennia. What does that mean? Thousands and thousands of years, y'all. That's exactly right. So guess what? Just wanted to give you a little history on the fabulous, incredible vocation that being a trumpet player actually is, that it is descended from kings and priestesses and various really high, exalted places. Okay? Anyway, I forgot to tell you, not only were trumpets discovered in King Tut's tombs, but they were also discovered in various tombs in ancient settlements in Asia, which includes China, South America, Scandinavia, and beyond. Can you imagine? Horns, pre-dynastic. What? Thousands and thousands of years old. That's right. And thousands and hundreds of thousands of years at the start of mankind, at the very beginning. What did they do? They picked up a horn from an animal, hollowed it out, and blew through it. That's right, y'all. The horn has been sounding throughout the ages. Thank you. Woo! Hey everybody, Ginetta Vendetta here. Woo! And this is the workshop, Learning the Pocket Trumpet, made possible by the Alabama State Council on the Arts and the National Endowment for the Arts, y'all. Let me give you a little taste of the sound. And I am your hostess for this workshop, Learning the Pocket Trumpet. I am Ginetta Vendetta, pocket trumpeter, vocalist, band leader of the fabulous band Ginetta Vendetta, and composer, all around super bad female, everybody. Anyway, I want to welcome you to this wonderful workshop, part 2, and I am discussing now the differences between the regular trumpet and the pocket trumpet. Earlier, I discussed the history of horns in general throughout history and the importance of the trumpet being one of the oldest instruments in the world. Now, I want to tell you about the difference. I want to show you this beautiful horn. This is called actually the pocket trumpet, and look how much smaller it is than a regular trumpet. I am using a regular mute, which actually this is actually called a Harmon mute. And this fits into the very small bell. A lot of guys have special mutes made for the pocket trumpet, but I have jammed this regular Harmon mute, which is the one Miles Davis uses, into my pocket trumpet for so long that it works just fine. But anyway, just want to show you the difference in the size of the bell. Very different, much smaller, so that the resonance is not as clear unless you're a professional like myself, okay? And also the tubing, check out the tubing. It is the exact same length of tubing. Why? To maintain that characteristic and beautiful sound of the regular trumpet, which is that beautiful clarion bell-like tone. Now let me tell you how difficult it is to get that beautiful big fat sound out of a pocket trumpet, and how difficult the airflow is. It's much different because of the compression of the tubes. Same length of tubing, very squished up. Anyway, when you start to blow that, what I call the blow, the difference in the blow is very, very difficult. And so when I first got my pocket trumpet, it was a 6-month ordeal that I had to concentrate on blowing air through this horn with a tuner, so that I could maintain the intonation, which means keeping this horn in tune, which is very difficult to do, y'all. Keeping the pocket trumpet in tune because of the compression of all of the tubing. So anyway, the blow is very different. What I call the blow, air velocity, that means the strength and the speed of the air that is going through the horn. And also, it's much more resistance, and that puts a lot more pressure on your chops. Those are the differences that I can tell you about immediately. The physical differences, which is the size and the weight, but it's quite heavy. Also the shape and the size of the bell. It's much smaller, it does not flare out as much, but the tubing is the same. And also the length, I just love it, because on a bandstand, y'all, a crowded bandstand, a long trumpet is much more apt. There's much more room for mishap. Mic stands, fellow musicians, drummers, or people in front of you, audiences, when you're playing in a packed room and people are dancing. So I kind of love the pocket trumpet because of its compactness and the fact that I can hold it close to my body and sort of protect myself and my chops. And people are saying, what are chops, Ginetta? Well, I'm going to explain to you what chops are. Just wanted to introduce you and kind of school you on the physical attributes and the differences between the two horns. And now you can see, mine is a beautiful custom-made pocket trumpet. And these valves were sent to me from Russia. We had a great time over there. But anyway, even before I went to Russia, I got an endorsement from a valve company. And so I said, it has to match my bracelets, y'all. You know, so I requested turquoise. So these valves also unscrew. So all valves on every trumpet unscrew. So you can, that's one of the same characteristics. So I wanted to tell you about chops, because people keep saying, oh, my chops feel horrible today, or how are your chops, or his chops are killing. When you're talking about a guy like Arturo Sandoval, he's got amazing chops, and he pops those really high notes. So talking about the pocket trumpet, I find that the wind and the resistance sort of, well, because of who I am and the shape of my lips or my chops, I find that it's a little more difficult to pop high notes. I know pocket trumpet players can pop any note on any horn they play, any trumpet player. But for me, because of the resistance and the added kind of blow, because of the compression of the tubes, I find that I maintain a range which is a little lower than a regular trumpet. Now that is not the horn. That is me as a professional trumpet player. But I want to tell you about chops, because everybody asks me, what are chops? Specifically and physically, the chops are comprised of the orbicularis oris muscle, which, believe it or not, is a circular muscle and is made up of a quadrant of 4 muscles around the face that come into the circular area. They call it the kissing muscle, y'all. What? Kissing muscle? So actually, you have to make that same sort of it's not really kissing, it's more like spitting tobacco off your tongue. That's what my teacher told me when I was in 4th grade. And of course, in 4th grade, who knows about spitting tobacco off your tongue? I know that I didn't. And hopefully you guys don't either, because I'm hoping nobody knows anything about that. But anyway, that is the expression he told me to do when blowing into my trumpet mouthpiece. I forgot also to mention that the same mouthpiece can be used in both a pocket trumpet and a regular trumpet. So that is the sameness and the differences between both of the horns, and also discussing the blow with the orbicularis oris muscle, the most important muscle in the lower part of your face and for a trumpet player. So I also wanted to tell you, folks, well, as I'm schooling you on the pocket trumpet, that the trumpet and the pocket trumpet are the most difficult instrument. It is the most difficult instrument in the musical world. And I'm going to explain why. It uses every part of your face. The only person to come close to us is a drummer, because he's using every part of his body. He's not using his face. But the trumpet player, every part of my face, my arms, my dexterity of my fingers, my back, my lungs, my stomach, because of the diaphragmatic breathing necessary to push the airflow through this horn. This trumpet and this particular instrument includes every part of your body, and that's why each and every day I give thanks for perfect health. I say every day I wake up and I'm able to blow and play is a great day. So there are a lot of things involved in playing a trumpet and a pocket trumpet specifically well. That's why I wanted to give you a little taste at the top of this particular segment, how the trumpet sounds exactly like a regular trumpet. And let's see, any other differences? Or I told you about the blow, the velocity, the muscles surrounding the mouth, and the fact that it is the most difficult instrument in the musical world. Other folks wouldn't tell you that, but I am telling you straight up. And let me tell you, if you ever talk to any of the lead players, and if you know what a lead player is, that is a guy who pops those really high notes that you hear screaming in the Latin bands. If you talk to them, you know that they really are protective. All of us are protective of our chops. So we have to really take care of ourselves, because as one of my trumpet coaches told me, the first thing to go when you're exhausted and on the road is your voice. The second thing are your chops. And that's why practicing is absolutely essential, because she used to tell me, the fabulous trumpet player Lori Frink, that you have to just rely on muscle memory. When you are on the road and exhausted and doing show after show after night after night after town, you just got to rely on muscle memory and give thanks. And you also have to rest. You cannot burn yourself out on the road. And that's going to bring me to the next segment of this workshop, called the 4 Ds of success. And I'm gonna get into that momentarily. This is Ginetta Vendetta, pocket trumpeter, vocalist, super bad female entertainer, composer, and band leader of the world-renowned Ginetta Vendetta. I'll be right back with you with the next part of my segment. Hey everybody, Ginetta Vendetta here, back again for part 3 of my workshop, which has been made possible by the Alabama State Council on the Arts and the National Endowment for the Arts. This particular workshop is called Learning the Pocket Trumpet and the Business of Music. In a nutshell, y'all. So I have since been over the history of horns throughout the ages. I've also given you a little schooling on the differences between the pocket trumpet and the trumpet. Now I'm going to move on to some of the more important points of becoming the best that you can be with this particular version and section called the 4 Ds of success. Those 4 Ds are desire. That's right, number 1. Number 2, discipline. What? That's right, honey. Number 3, determination. Number 4, drive. Those are the 4 Ds of success for any young musician, for any student of music, for any artist or person of creativity in general, so that you may pursue excellence. The 4 Ds of success. And I am your hostess here, Ginetta Vendetta, super bad female, what? Power blower, pocket trumpeter, vocalist, composer, and band leader with the wonderful and world-renowned band, Ginetta Vendetta. But before I get into all this talking, you know I always like to do a little music at the top. Let's blow a little tune at the top by the fabulous godfather of Brazilian bossa nova, y'all, Mr. Antonio Carlos Jobim, and this is one of his most famous, called One Note Samba. Come on, let's kick it a little bit without the mute, so you can hear the fabulous sound.
1, 2, a 1, 2.
Whoops. a couple of clinkers in there, y'all, but hey, guess what? That's what happens. Hold on, let me just get this off. Hey, everybody, now, just wanted you to hear a little bit. Hold on, I gotta open the door because it is really hot in here. Hold on, gang, now I can open the windows. Woohoo! Have to have the window shut. The first and foremost rule of thumb as a good neighbor is you do not want to alienate a neighbor. I forgot to mention that in my workshop. As a trumpet player, you must always be considerate of your neighbors, especially when you live in Manhattan or any other building. So that is another life lesson. You just listened to the fabulous Antonio Carlos Jobim, and I am getting on to the 4 Ds of success. As I mentioned earlier, the first one, the first and foremost, desire. What is desire? What is desire? Desire is like love, or not really. Desire is to want, and almost to want it so much that you feel like you need it. And that is how musicians are. And I am convinced that musicians are born. They might be made and molded afterwards, but musicians are born almost like it's encoded in our DNA, much like being left-handed or having red hair. Being born a musician is just what I am, and it's what we are. And if you think that you are, and you pick up an instrument and it calls to you, or speaks to you, or makes you happy, or maybe you think you can do that, then you are an artist and a musician. And to deny that particular talent and your spark of creativity is definitely not the way to go, because guess what? Desire is something that we cannot stifle. The desire to be a musician or to become who we are. And as I said, we are born artists and creative people. They often say that creativity is governed by the right side of the brain, technique and all kinds of other technical aspects governed by the left side of the brain. And it is very true that some people have more of one side than the other. I, for instance, am very fluid in languages and music. That is the right side of my brain. And math, forget it. The only thing I know about math is dividing the money 4 ways, because I have a quartet, which is the number of guys in my band. Math, any sort of math. Do you know it took me 3 years to get out of high school algebra? And they finally just said, forget it, Ginetta. It's impossible. And I graduated in 3 years anyway, because I had a dozen music and language courses. So I was very lucky in that respect. But anyway, I digress. I'm getting off topic. I'm talking about the desire to want, to need something, and the desire and the love of something, and not stifling that desire, not putting it off for another day, not saying, oh, it's not me, or it's not cool, or I don't want to do that. You know what I'm saying? Or going with the crowd. To know yourself and know what your desire is truly a blessing. And when I first picked up my trumpet, I was 8 years old, and I just knew. Now, mind you, for years I barely practiced, honey, I'm telling you. So I was great in grammar school. I was the star of the orchestra. But then in junior high school, you know, I was still in the band, but I didn't practice like I should have. And I'll tell you one thing. I still knew that that was my destiny, that this horn, that this life, and this path, no matter how difficult, was my destiny. And I've been very blessed, because to know what you want from an early age is a real blessing. And you can focus on that with laser-like intensity. How? Through various other basic tenets, laws, commandments, or principles of this particular workshop. Desire, desire, desire. Number 1, to know what you desire, to know that you desire music is the number 1 basic. But let me just tell you something, y'all. It is hard work. So that brings me to what? Number 2. And what is that called? Discipline. Now, who wants to hear about discipline? Nobody. I mean, you can't tell me when I was 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 that I needed to go upstairs and practice, even though my pop did. He always said, get upstairs and do your hour on the horn. Get yourself together. And I'm going to tell you something else. That discipline was instilled in me very early, and it has held me in good stead. Now let me backtrack a little about desire, because I want to tell you, I was saying when desire is thwarted, and that's a word that means sort of pushed down or ignored or not really followed up. This is a good desire, not some desire for negativity, but for positive. When that is thwarted, when your life's part, when your happiness is rejected or not listened to or stifled, that really comes out in negative ways. It manifests in serious dis-ease, which is not being comfortable with your life or being unhappy and turning towards other things. And I'm going to give you an example. When I was going into high school from junior high, I wanted, in the worst way, to go to the high school of performing arts in New York City. It was called the LaGuardia High School of Performing Arts. And I don't know if anyone's ever seen that old show Fame. It was based on that school. And when I was a kid growing up, that was my heart's desire. Even though it was an hour and a half on a bus each way, I didn't care. That was my heart's desire. And don't you know, my parents said no. Why? Because of the commute. Now, granted, I was only 13, 14, 15 going into Manhattan all by myself, but I'll tell you something, from there on out, I went AWOL, y'all. Woo, lordy, lordy. I should have just been allowed to go to that school, because I'll tell you something. Why? Because my heart's desire, my goal, and my love was thwarted. And I just knew, instead, as a kid, we don't make the greatest decisions. We're kids. Our brains are half formed, y'all. So take that into consideration when you're about to make a really bad decision. Don't do it. Just take a moment to step back. I, on the other hand, back in the day, went AWOL, okay? So high school was a mess. I just graduated in 3 years because I couldn't stand it and wanted to get out. And I moved right into Manhattan when I was 17 and started my life of diligence and practice, because when I got to the city as a kid, I was like, dang, I gotta make a living, y'all. This isn't cutting it. You know what I'm saying? I used to go to sessions and try to sit in, and I would ask the musicians, geez, what do I have to do? And I remember one guy saying, you gotta go home and practice. But that didn't bother me. It sort of gave me a heads up and told me, you need to go home and practice. And don't you know, the moment I was on my own, I started practicing 6 hours a day. That's right. Got my gig, started working. That's right, 6 hours a day. Living on bread and egg sandwiches, mind you, because who's paying the bills? Me. Living in a tiny little place, and I was thankful for that. My point is, when desire is thwarted, things go AWOL. When you apply number 2, discipline, things start to come around. And where did I apply that basic rule number 2, discipline? Only when I knew that my life depended on it. Why? I was the one having to pay my own bills. And my trumpet chops and my musicianship was not up to the par that was necessary to make a living in Manhattan. So what did I do? Again, practice 6 hours a day. What does that entail? Discipline. Whenever I would go out, my friends would say, Ginetta, come on, we want a break night, we want to stay out all night, we want to do this. I said, no, I got to get up and I got to practice. And that is called discipline. Daily study habits that as a kid also will help you develop your concentration and do great in school. Why? Because all of this studying, this discipline of learning an instrument, you are learning and relearning over and over again. You're trying to learn a scale. You're trying to bring a beauty of sound. You're trying to learn a difficult passage in the music. You're trying to read music. This all takes time and repetition. And I'm telling you, it gets boring. But as a disciplined performer and or student of the particular horn, you need to sit right down and continue each and every day. If you create positive daily habits, let's start with 15 minutes a day. That's what I say. Don't start big. Don't go long, man. Take it easy. Get a stand or prop some music up or put your horn somewhere, oil up the bell, and then just sit. If you need to blow some air through the horn, you're going to blow some air through the horn. Did it sound like that? That's pretty. No. And you hear that big fat sound? That sounds like a trumpet, but this is a pocket trumpet. I just blew air through the horn. And how did I create my positive study habits? Through discipline. Did I want to be out ripping and running the street with all my friends? Of course I did. But who was paying my rent? I'm 17 and a half. I have bills to pay. You know what I mean? You can't just run out and do all this stuff. And if you can learn this particular thing earlier than being out on your own and sink or swim, it's a wonderful and positive work ethic that will set a precedent in your life for success. That's for realsy, y'all. Anyway, discipline, number 2. Number 3, oh, here we go. What is number 3? It is called determination. Ooh, Lord, and let me tell you something. This business will break your heart. That's all I'm going to say, everybody. It will eat you up and spit you out. That's right, gang. But you must have the heart of a lion and the hide of an alligator. Why? So stuff just flows right off. That's right. Those rejections, those no's, those disappointments, those getting canceled, your gigs, getting fired off a tour, this thing, nobody answering you, driving around and around on my bicycle to club after club after club, folks not wanting to hire us. Let me just say that takes determination to get back up. Hold on, let me close the door, y'all. It's a little noisy. Hold on, bang. I'm right here, everybody. I know that the editor, I gotta close this. I thought I needed some air, but I don't want all that outside noise. I'm talking about determination, y'all. What? Determination. You gotta get right back up. And I'll tell you one thing that I love. It is to read the biographies of famous people, whether they're musicians, sports stars, politicians, presidents, actresses, kings. It doesn't matter. They have one thing in common with me and with success. It is this 4 Ds. This is my workshop that I've created, but I've culled it from hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of reading and studying and listening and learning. And these 4 Ds of success. Number 3, determination, is almost as important as each and every other one, as discipline. Determination to get back up. I had the worst heartbreak when back maybe 15 or 20 years ago already. I was hired for a major tour and was going to be on the road for 2 years, y'all. Massive, massive star. We were opening up for freaking a massive star. And this is a life dream, a dream that each and every musician would love. And I got out there, I was playing, I made a big mistake right before I left. The point is, they let me go. Because what they heard in the studio in New York City when I went to audition was not the same. And what happened? I had replayed it. Now, if you'll notice, I'm using now a plastic mouthpiece. This is acrylic, it's not really plastic. But back then, I was using a silver-plated mouthpiece, and it had worn off, and I made the mistake of replating it right before this major tour. Now that is a great lesson and a bitter lesson that I learned, but this ties back in to determination and continuing to get back up even after the bitterest of disappointments and heartbreaks. Because this business, as I said, can lift you up to places unimagined and also, again, break you down. But that's why you must maintain your determination along with the desire, including the love of what you do, and the discipline to commit yourself to daily routines to strive for excellence. So this brings me from desire, discipline, determination to what? Number 4, y'all. Hey everybody, Ginetta Vendetta here once again to finish up on part 3 of this wonderful workshop, Learning the Pocket Trumpet and the Business of Music. Yes ma'am, and this particular workshop, we are continuing on the 4 basic tenets of success as told to and expounded upon by yours truly, Ginetta Vendetta, y'all. The first one is what? Desire. We've gone over discipline. We've gone over determination. Now we're going over number 4, drive. That relentless need for striving and attaining perfection. Drive, that endless pushing factor, much like a shark continually swimming, that drive for perfection and excellence. And that is also known as dedication. Dedication, that is to dedicate your life to the craft of music to the exclusion of all else at the beginning. Before you put in your 10,000 hours to become a wonderful and highly trained professional, you must actually dedicate your life to it to the exclusion of all other distractions. That includes family and or marriage, girlfriends, boyfriends, wealthy possessions. Put all that stuff aside. You can't get a car yet, you can't afford it, do all that things. As I often say, it is like taking a vow to the church of music, a vow of poverty, of chastity, of various other monastic existence, so that your relentless drive is focused with laser-like intensity on music, on creating and on becoming the greatest professional that you can be, so that why you can start bringing money into the home as a professional musician. Yeehaw! And therein lies the beauty. And there's an old saying, if you love what you do, you will never work a day in your life. That's right, y'all. And so that is basic tenet number 4, drive and or dedication to the exclusion of all else so that you may master the craft of music. And I'll tell you, it is not easy, y'all. It is not easy. It is not easy. But guess what? The rewards are boundless and wonderful. And I'm telling you, as my friend Mickey Bass, a wonderful bass player, says, you take care of music and it will take care of you. That's right. I am your hostess, Ginetta Vendetta, and we are signing out of segment number 3, moving on to segment number 4 of this particular workshop. And the drive, all these 4 basic tenets of success are because you want to become a better professional. And this is section 4 of the workshop, how to become a better professional. And what exactly does that entail as a musician? To become a better professional. What does that entail? Well, it's not just about chops, y'all. It's about a whole bunch of other things. Becoming a better professional. Me, as a band leader for a long, long time, I have often chosen guys with less chops than and better attitudes than those killing players who have a serious attitude. Because I always say music is about joy, creating fellowship with your fellow musicians, and bringing to life an amazing, wonderful musical celebration. That is what music is about, especially as a band member and a band leader. And so again, one of the most important aspects besides your musical ability and professionalism is your attitude. I've had guys who play rings around things and I say, guys, never again. Why? Their attitude, oh, I'm only getting paid for this, or how they look, meaning how they're dressed. I'm very strict about how you are dressed to impress when you're on the bandstand. I often say, I don't care if it's a $50 gig or a $1,000 gig, you need to give your 100%, because if you act on a $50 gig and you only put in your $50 gig's worth of talent, you'll never get to the top, y'all. Each and every gig is a blessing. And when I say gig, I mean paying gigs. There are no free gigs. No, 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 no. I often tell kids the various pitfalls of music. One of them is paying to play. Let me tell you, or for exposure. You know what I say to that? Well, guess what? Folks can die of exposure, y'all. Oh yeah, that's right. So no, we don't do that. Unless you're very young and you're just starting out. Okay, and you want to go sit in on the bandstand, and guys want you to hang out. Oftentimes when I go out in New York City, you know, I don't go out often because I'm busy working, and also I don't go out unless I'm getting paid, to be honest with you, unless it's a really special occasion and some friends are coming in out of town or they're on tour and they're like, Ginetta, I left some tickets for you at the Beacon, so come on backstage, blah, blah, blah. Other than that, I kind of stay home. But the various pitfalls as on how to be the best professional you can be. And the number one, besides your chops, we took care of that in the last segment, getting yourself up to par with your 10,000 hours of practicing and diligence. Now, to be a better professional, your attitude, positivity, punctuality, y'all. What? Heck yeah. You don't want to not be punctual. That drove me crazy. I had a drama. I'm here. You're here. Your stuff isn't packed. You're not right here on the curb ready to go. Your drums are still in the club. That's not being here at 4 p.m. When I say meet me at 4 p.m., y'all, that means we're packing up the car. We need to be on the road by 4:15. That doesn't mean you got to run into the club and get all your stuff. That doesn't mean you got to, I got to do this, I got to do that. That means being exactly on time, ready for the departure. And that's another thing as a professional. Let me tell you this, y'all. If you don't know this, I'm going to school you right now. We have what you call lobby calls. What does that mean? That means when you're in a foreign country or you're on the road and you're doing 60 shows in a year or 60 shows or 60 towns in a row, lobby call is 4 a.m. You better not miss that lobby call. Why? We got the rest of the whole gang, the tech crew, the managers, and everybody else ready to roll. They will leave you behind. So it is very important that as how to be a better professional, punctuality is at the top of your list. Number 3, besides attitude, chops, and punctuality, number 4, I should say, is your dress. My guys in the Vendetta, we wear black on black. What does that mean? Black dress pants, black dress shirt. And I wear black or I can wear a gown. Why? Because I'm the star, y'all. I mean, let's face it. You know what I'm saying? People come to see Ginetta Vendetta for me, but also I can't do it without that smoking band behind me. So they come to see Ginetta Vendetta for me, but also for the high caliber musicians that I routinely supply, regardless of where in the world. I have smoking bands from the Middle East to Mexico, Canada, or Florida, New York City, all over the world. That's correct, y'all. So that, in and of itself, every single band that I use, they know Ginetta. If you're in the Vendetta, I don't care if it's the Guadalajara version, the Jakarta version, or the the Middle Eastern version, they're gonna be clean. What does that mean? Clean, y'all. That means shaved, clean, neat, groomed, and dressed for success. That's correct. Okay, so those are a couple of the points of how to be a better professional. Also, there was another question that the guys had about why choose a career in the music industry? And what I wanted to expound upon was when you follow your dream, you're actually pursuing happiness. And when you pursue happiness, you sort of radiate happiness. When you radiate happiness, that is like a bright ray of sunshine that attracts happiness and attracts abundance, and it attracts love, and it also spreads these positive vibes. And as a musician, that is really important because this planet, we need to heal, and that is what music does. I find that music is a soothing balm for the troubled soul. And so becoming a musician is not just a job, y'all. It is not only an adventure, but a vocation, and a very exalted vocation. That's correct. As I mentioned at the top of this workshop, historically musicians were revered and played for kings, pharaohs, queens, temples, all kind of stuff. So let me just tell you, becoming the best professional you can is to your own benefit, and keeping a wonderful positive attitude, keeping yourself groomed and clean when you're on the professional bandstand, keeping yourself punctual and right on time, if not early, which is a great attribute, and all of these other wonderful attributes to becoming a better professional, and finding out if music has chosen you, and having the courage to actually embrace that path, and also being happy, pursuing your dream lifts up the vibrations around the whole world, because you're happy and you're spreading happiness. And that is truly a gift as a professional musician. We spread happiness. It's funny because throughout my career, I've had a lot of dear friends. One of them was a police officer who saw a lot of negativity. And I would always tell him, isn't it funny? You see the worst in people and I see the best. Because musicians are always there at celebrations, where they're at parties, where they're at festivals, where they're at christenings, baptisms, weddings, joy, 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 y'all. And that is what we do. That's why I said, if you pursue your dream of music, or any art in general, you will be pursuing happiness. And it is not going to be easy, y'all. Oh no, it is the toughest road we will ever going to try. And it is a long road. And I'll just say that, again, the benefits far outweigh the negative aspects, or the doubt, or the self-doubt, the rejections, the long periods of no working, the driving, relentless need to pursue wonderful excellence, even in the face of dozens of years and years of solitude and or rejection. You just have to believe in yourself, and that's hard to do. I'm going to tell you something else. Coming up, there was a lot of times when these constant rejections, I would say, I'm stepping back. I'm taking a break. I need to regroup. I'm just going to practice. I'm going to stay home. And then I will go back out there after I sort of replenish my mental and spiritual reservoir, as it is. Because you can't constantly go on rejections. You got to step back, continue to forge ahead, learn new things, create more musical, break more musical boundaries, I should say. And oftentimes when I'm in junior high giving certain workshops, because I kind of tailor these workshops for specific ages, and a lot of the kids, especially the inner city kids, they ask me, Ginetta, what do you make as a professional musician, Does this particular vocation or career, how hard is it? I said, well, it's hard, but once you start making money, you start making money. And again, here is one very important point I did not want to forget. To avoid various pitfalls, when you make the money, let's say you get a major gig, you're on the road touring with what? I don't know, Nicki Minaj or somebody. I don't even know if she uses ones, but how about you're on the road with Madonna? You're on the road with the fabulous Celine Dion. You're on the road with how about Beyonce? She got a killer horn player, all women. Her whole band is women. What? And guess what? The only reason I didn't audition for her back in the day, 2015, she was asking for female musicians. I was in Jamaica on tour. I was doing a festival. Dang it. But anyway, let's say you get a gig with Beyonce. Yeehaw! So you're on the road for 2 years, man. But guess what? You need to put that money away, because these good times don't last. Oh, no. Heck no. They do not last. This business is not a straight shot, steady paycheck, N-O. And that is one very important point. Avoiding the pitfall of overspending. Avoiding the pitfall of overspending. I repeated myself, that's correct. I'm not losing it, but it's really important. I knew a guy way back in the day, he was on the road with David Sanborn back in the 80s, made $1 billion, bunch of money, man. Crazy money, great bass player. Come home, burnt it all. You know where he spent it? On the road. You don't need to spend a nickel on the road because you are getting a per diem. What does that mean, a per diem? That means you're getting money to buy food. Some major acts get you $100, $200, $100 a day. Listen, I don't even eat $3 a day, you know what I'm saying? So you shouldn't even be spending money. You should be saving money. So your main paycheck ought to be going to direct deposit, and you should be living on your per diem. If you're getting even $75 a day, $100 a day is $700 a week, or maybe $600. Actually $700 if you're on tour. I mean, you gotta eat when you're off. So if you can't live on that, y'all, come on now. So you need direct deposit. Whenever you get a major tour or major gig, direct deposit, y'all, okay? So anyway, I'm just going over the wonderful aspects of music, the beauty of the pocket trumpet, the wonderful aspects of how to succeed and how to remain successful in this music business, which has a lot of pitfalls, y'all. And I am your hostess, Ginetta Vendetta. This wonderful workshop has been made possible by the Alabama State Council on the Arts and the National Endowment for the Arts, excuse me. And we are celebrating the Alabama Women in Jazz Festival, now in its 7th year, and the first year going totally virtual, y'all. Woohoo! So happy to be a part of that. And guess what? You know, I always like to take it out or start the segment with a little tune. I want to take it out on a little tune for you now. This is a classic written by the fabulous piano player George Shearing for the club Birdland back in the 50s, unless it was the late 40s. It is called Lullaby of Birdland. Let's try a little taste, y'all. Hold on. I got to turn around and get my speaker going. Here we go. I'm going to do a little classic for you on the way out. Here we go. Here we go. Woo! Classic called Lullaby of Birdland, y'all. And we're going to say goodbye. And this workshop, learning the pocket trumpet and the business of music, has been really a thrill, y'all. I am your hostess, Ginetta Vendetta. Your hostess, pocket trumpeter, vocalist, composer, and bandleader with the fabulous Ginetta Vendetta. This fabulous workshop has been made possible by the Alabama State Council on the Arts and the National Endowment for the Arts, y'all. This is Ginetta Vendetta signing off, y'all, and I hope that I've inspired you to heights of greatness and choosing a path in the music industry. Much love, everybody. We will see you next time.